Howdy everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Zombicide Gears and Guns. So this is the expansion pack for Zombicide Undead or Alive, which you can go check out. The two videos I did on that. The first one where I explain the kind of what the game is, how to play it, the rules and stuff, and then the second one where I go over all of the characters and components. So this is the big box expansion. There's a bunch of other little expansions and Kickstarter stuff. This is the full one, which adds a steampunk element to the game. This also adds a campaign mode. So now you can play this game. If you pick it up, you can bring any of your characters from the original game into this game, or you can take any of the characters from that game and play the other missions as well, back or forth. This just adds a bunch of new and interesting concepts. So we're gonna look over the book. Since I already went through the basics of the game in the other video, I'm not gonna re-go over that. We're just gonna kind of look over the new stuff. So of course we're gonna get 10 new characters, a new abomination, some more tiles, some objective cards, and some other bunch of different components. All right. So the base game is required for this game because it's going to have all of your boards and your basic stuff you need to play the game. This just adds it. Some of the maps are used from that into this as well for some of the things. So there's advanced rules. So we're going to have a new Steam dice, which are going to have a special depleted symbol on them instead of a zombie symbol, as well as we're going to have advanced equipment rules. So there's advanced decks for the equipment, so new starter cards, new bounty weapons, new regular items, all that. So basically what you want to do is just replace all your old ones with these, and then use all these upgraded ones. So they should work. Like, if you don't use the steampunk rules, you then don't use them. But if you want to use the steampunk rules, they're gonna have the same thing with some extra bonuses. They have extra little boost effects in them, which I'll kind of go over when we actually look at the cards. But that's the main kicker of this, is using steam-powered mechanics to use your weapons. So essentially, they have like their regular stats, and then you can use the little dials above them, and you can steam power them, or full steam, I think is exactly how they refer to them, to basically use those extra stats, which will make your weapons give you more dice, have better accuracy, but you always run the risk of rolling the depleted die, and then you turn the card upside down. Now you can't use this again until you refill it. So you actually have to either use a steam bottle or go to one of these special reservoirs on the board to refill them. And then there's also a special thing here for keeping your equipment during the campaign. So think of a campaign, normally you discard everything and start over, and some of these cards will have special steam dice which you can roll. So you roll the number of dice equal to lock them out, and if you don't roll any ones, basically, you get to keep that item for the next game. So it's kind of a neat little mechanic. And there's also special equipment you can get as well, which will work like armor, different knives, steam bottles, which we'll go over those when we actually get through them. Plus skill granting equipment is also neat. Gives you some of the, basically it lets your older characters or any new characters use some of the new steampunk abilities. And then there's a new class called the Engineer, which we'll go over that again when we get into those characters. So one new feature in here is the KORIP rules. So while you're playing in this mode, if you're playing the campaign, usually if a survivor loses, you're done. Game over, mission's over, unless for some reason they have a different objective. But now it happens in here, so if a survivor loses their last health point, it's considered KO'd but not dead. Lay the miniature down the zone they're currently occupying, discard all equipment cards they may have. No keeps allowed. Survivor is now considered an objective token until the end phases of a subsequent game round. So not the current round, everyone gets to go, then you have one full extra round. if any other survivor can take it as an object, so the KO survivor is taken, their miniature is placed on their own dashboard. The KO survivor is not dead but cannot be played again until the next mission. The KO survivor is not taken, they're dead for good. So you might lose the game. But it gives everyone at least an extra full round to try and save a KO character. And then if you're playing, especially because you're playing the campaign, you don't want to lose like the third mission in the campaign because one guy died. So this lets you re-resurrect them. Also new for the campaign mode is the little posse. Your players will gather their own posse. This means if their current survivor dies, a player may select a posse member as their survivor for the next mission instead. This new survivor inherits all game effects written on the campaign sheet. So while you're playing through, you'll have various skills and abilities you can carry over from game to game, and you can increase them in between games. And you can form an extra little posse to do that. So here's the big new thing, is the Steam gauge. So this is our timer for the game. It places the first player token. It says, apart from monitoring the pressure levels of the Steam gauge covering the entire city, also acts as your first player token. Unless otherwise stated, starts at 0 and moves it forward in 2 increments during each end phase, right before the passing it to the next first player. As soon as the Steam gauge reaches 14 or higher, which is the yellow part, any survivor standing in an active Steam jet at the start of their turn, or spending one action with standing in a Steam jet, endures one wound. Has no effect on zombies. If it reaches 20, the game is lost. Basically, the steam in the town blew up. Which is kind of a neat thing. So there's going to be special steam tiles in the game, which are these big giant machinery in them. They'll have a nozzle on one side and a switch on the other side, which will either be in the on or off position. So steam tiles have the 3 different things on them. And turn the machines on and off. So you can harvest invention equipment or special equipment you can get in the game. Can only be found in zones with a steam switch. So they can be drawn from that deck rather than your regular deck. If you're in there, and then the nozzle itself. Or here we have the switch, actually. We should talk about that. Any survivor in the switch zone, zombie or not, may spend 1 action to flip the corresponding switch to its on-off. If it is on, the on, it is active. If it is off, it is inactive. So basically, if it's inactive, you can't use it. So you'd have to, like in this scenario, you would have to run all the way around to the inside of the building to turn it on so you can run back out to use it to repower your steam weapons. And then we have the nozzle. Active nozzle can be used to refill steam equipment. A steam monster abomination can break the nozzles, though making them to produce uncontrollable streams of jets instead. Active survivor standing in active nozzle zone. Remember, active means the switch is on. May spend 1 action to refill the single depleted weapon. Simply flip the corresponding steam tile card back upright. If the refilled weapon is equipped, it may be used under regular conditions. So active is yet broken nozzle. An active yet broken nozzle speeds active steam jet. Stay clear whenever possible. Inactive yet broken nozzle does nothing. So nozzle broken whenever a steam monster enters the zone for the first time. From then on, it can still be active or inactive, but can no longer be used to refill depleted equipment. And then if it gets broke all the way, it can't be used at all. So yes, kind of an interesting little mechanic. It can block lines of sight on the board. It says, active steam just block lines of sight, including zombies. So like you can maybe hide behind it, so it might be a useful thing. New abomination is the steam monster, so this guy can run around and break stuff. And he has some special effects as well, which we'll look at later. And then new equipment are the inventions. So they're going to have a silver border and a black background. It says, any survivor performing a search action in a building with a switch draws from the invention deck. Inventions don't take up inventory slots. Keep them beside the dashboard. So they just basically give you extra bonuses. And then we have campaign rules. So this is the big brunt of the new thing, besides the steampunk characters, is a campaign mode. So, campaign sheet is to track your posse's progress. Each survivor has their own campaign sheet. for the notepad, and then write down your story in different sections. So you have the XCP bar, or campaign experience. Indicate milestones that grant survivor bonuses. So as you go through this, you're going to gain extra actions. And then as you gain bonus actions, you can mark them off on here. So you just start with extra abilities. You can get bonus actions per mission. Equipment that you keep, and then your posses. Write down companions that have been rallied throughout the campaign. Gathering a posse. So each player controls their own posse. Band gathered by the starting survivor are written on the sheet. Every time a survivor ends a mission, a new leader, as a leader of a campaign, writes down their name on the survivor sheet, forming their posse. Companions who don't join the posse are not kept from mission to mission. During setup of the ensuing missions, the player may choose any member of their posse as a survivor to play with, inherits all the game effects on the campaign sheet. When a survivor is killed, they cannot be played again until the end of the campaign, as both a survivor or a companion. A player may choose any member of their posse to continue a campaign. Campaigns are lost when a player no longer has any survivors to play with. A survivor belongs to a single posse. In other words, you may have several copies of the same survivor in different missions, but you may trade members between missions. So basically, if like you rescue a companion or you play a mission, you survive, you write that character's name down. Then the next mission, now you can choose from any of those characters. So as the game goes farther and farther through the campaign, you have more different characters to choose from. And if you lose a mission, you can always restart it with different characters. You can trade them between each other. So maybe I picked up like 3 gunslingers, but I really need a brawler character. I could trade with somebody else. But if you're not getting these characters, or you keep not surviving, you keep dying every campaign, like eventually you're not going to have any characters left to play with. So yeah, rescuing people makes your game go a little bit longer, so you can repeat missions. Experience points are awarded for reaching the orange bar for the first time, and for reaching the red bar for the first time. And each survivor may have up to 2 campaign experience per mission. Reaching ultra red levels doesn't count. Some missions may allow it to earn additional. So you're going to gain 2 each time, so it's not like you're going to fly through with a ton. There's campaign skills by earning CXP. A posse can gain campaign skills. Each campaign skill can only be acquired once. From then on, survivors for the mission just to choose the skill at a blue level in addition to any blue level skill they have. So you don't get to use all of them. So if there's like 10 abilities, you don't get to use every one, but you get to gain 1 extra one. But the more you earn, it lets you get different options. So that's definitely fun. Bonus actions, there's objective cards. So in this game, you're also going to have objectives. Campaign mission objective tokens are replaced with objective cards. These are designed to be set in specific zones, showing on the map. Don't read your cards until you play them. So it's going to tell in there, like, this is card number 2 for mission 1. It says G&G M1. Put it on card R2. Like that one says it's for card number 3. Put it on 14B. You can see how it kind of matches up with the picture on the board, so you kind of know where to put it. It's just a really neat idea. Setup. Each campaign has its own set of objectives. Gathered object sets. Each setup is displayed. Number of tiles are placed in. Some objectives called notes are placed face down close to the board, so they may be read during the mission. So it makes this really interesting, is that when you're playing through, you're going to find these things. Instead of it just being like, pick up a crate of ammo, or pick up a crate of water, or go find this character. You actually have cards that are going to give you different things, or tell you different events, or things that have happened when you get to these zones. It's trying to make more of a story. So instead of it just being like, collect 5 objectives, get to the end, you're going to have more of a story in each mission. And then they all link together. So you can take the objective card, The same way you take objective tokens. So all that stuff is pretty easy. So Zombicide is a cooperative game, so some cards you need to talk to each other. Unless otherwise stated, objective cards do not grant AP and are discarded after their effects. Some might have keywords. And then Gears Inc. campaign, Dangerous Wounds, so special campaigns, all inclusive. All missions have no class limitations for starting survivors. So that's one thing that was different from the base game campaign. Some didn't allow certain classes, maybe to make it more difficult, or however. Travel companions, as otherwise stated, missions are not lost whenever a companion is eliminated, just your main survivor. Most missions require placement of survivors of a given class to be played as companions you find along the way. In case there aren't enough miniatures of the required class, you may choose any instead. So it might tell you, like, put a brawler here or a gunslinger there. And that's why you can use characters. You can play the characters from this set and then use the characters from the base set as your companions. Or vice versa, however you'd like. So here's an example of a mission. So you have the big long board. And as I said, it's going to use some of the tiles from the original one, like we have the train and some of the other ones here. It's going to tell you which numbers to put down where. And kind of how to put them. Otherwise, it's, basically the same as everything else. These Steam vents are already broken, so it's kind of interesting. So that means you, are going to have to walk around to get by them, so they block your path. There's no tutorial mission here. It just starts right off with the missions. I'll kind of flip through them, but I'm not going to read through all of them. I love this one, that is a big-ass map, which is where I loved the idea of these games, just having these bigger maps instead of always just being 4 or 6 tiles. Just adding some extra range in there. So there is 10 missions in here, and then there's some new skills which we will go over as we get into the characters. And then on the back side, they're again going to have extra stuff, but now this one you might just want to keep around in place of the main book, just because it has I was going to say maybe it has something else for the Steam, but I don't see that listed, so it might be the same as the other one. Alright, so I think we're gonna end this video. We did one video. Well, let's show off our tiles and stuff, and then we'll end this. We'll do the characters in the second one. So there's our Steam tiles. Our on-off switches. So I don't know why open and close are backwards on here. I think they just messed up. We get another spawn tile. There's our closed switches. There's our inactive Steam. Our broken switches. And then we do get some new tiles here. Let's see if I can dig all of these out. Alright, so we have, the laundry. So I think a lot of these are going to look very, very similar, at least in layout, to the original game. They're just going to have different things. This is a very common one, but now it has a Steam engine in it. I think one of these had, whiskey on it before. So there's another one that's like that. Now if I flip that the same way, you can see, the nozzle is coming out of this end on this side, and it's coming on this one. So even though they're overall the same layout, they do have the different things. Plus, the doors are in different spots. You can only enter from these two sides, where this one gives you an additional side over there. Okay, look at the back side of that one. Another big town. So that'll be the big thing. These all have the Steam vents. I don't know if every tile has one. It looks like they all do so far. Probably because they want to make sure you have access to them in different, all the different gameplay modes. There's a coal section. There's more or less an upgraded town that now uses Steampunk, and Steam and all that fun stuff. There's a big opening in the town. I love this one. So I love the little one tile with the balcony. They didn't have that in the base game. And there's the big one. So, where is... So this one has a steam vent and an on-off switch, but I don't see the actual steam nozzle. So that's interesting. I think it's something that's interesting like this one too, where they're right next to each other. So that's kind of cool. The fact that you don't always have to walk around to the outside of a building. Alright, so we're going to end, this should be part 1 where we'll went over all the rules and everything. Part 2 we'll go over all the characters and all the cards